Hello, everybody. My guest today is Matt Vogels. He was born in Colorado, but lived in 4 countries and moved 18 times by the time he was 18. He's a lover of all things startups and side projects, movie nerd, and passionate about the future of work with his current company, Zestful. Matt, you ready to take us to the top?
I am. How you doing?
I am doing well. Thanks for coming on. So break down the company for us. What are you guys focused on, and what's your revenue model? How do you make money?
Yeah. So Zestful, what we're trying to do is change the way that companies, particularly smaller companies, offer employee perks and rewards. And the way that we do that is with what we call our Zestful perk card. It looks and works like a regular debit card, except companies can control what specific budgets and what those budgets can be spent on directly in the app. So a common example would be giving an employee $50 a month that they could only use on fitness and health. They use the card like any other debit card at their favorite gym or online fitness class. It goes through without the reimbursement process or the headache. And the way that we make money, the business model is just $5 per person per month. There's no fees, additional fees, long-term commitments, or anything like that.
And on average, what's the team size when a company signs up with you? What are they signing up for?
That's been kind of the most fun about this whole thing. We have companies that are 5, 10 employees. In fact, we had a barbershop sign up yesterday, which I think was awesome. But at the same time, we have companies that are 1,000 employees with employees that are all over the world, be it in the United States, but also in Europe. So it's a very, very broad range. If I had to say on average, we see typically companies around 100 employees.
Okay, so about $500 a month or $6,000 a year is typical of an ACV.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, very good. Okay, and put this on timeline for me. When did you launch?
We kind of, long story short, we originally launched the idea for Zestful 2 years ago. The idea that we wanted to change the way that we do employee perks. We set off into the market and thought, how the hell do we do this? The first idea was we needed to make partnerships and relationships with these companies like a Spotify or a Netflix. Turned out to be really, really hard. So we pivoted into doing team activities and employee outings. So think happy hour, bowling, that type of thing. Did that for a year. Didn't really work out. Didn't enjoy it. Didn't love it. Ultimately found our way back to this idea, which was those individual employee perks. The technology finally allowed us with the debit card and ultimately partnerships with Visa to really build what we were doing right now. And that was in the summer of 2018 when we started, and then ultimately just launched the product at the end of January. So we kind of think of February 1st as our first go-to-market launch for Zestful.
And how many companies have you scaled to over the past couple of months?
Yeah, we're at over 50. I think I checked right before this call. We're like 52 companies.
That's great. Okay, so 52 companies, average kind of $500 a month because they got 100 users. That puts you at what, like 20, 25 grand a month right now in revenue?
It depends. I think most of those companies we're looking at the average is probably closer to $100 a month if I'm looking at it.
Okay.
If only because at least for discounts and things that we offer upfront, especially for larger companies that are coming in, we tend to do that.
Got it. So more like maybe $5,000 a month, something like that.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. And what's your team look like today? How many folks?
Yeah, we're a team of 5 and 1 intern. So 5.5.
Okay. So my obvious question is kind of how are you paying the bills, right? Revenue's not covering it. So how are you paying the bills?
Yeah, we raised a smaller round at the end of last year. It was something that actually came together very spontaneously. We were able to close the round in 30 days. Before that, kind of all of last year, I was literally doing 40 to 50 hours a week of freelance. I do a lot of web design and web development. Allowed me to pay my own bills and also pay a couple engineers that are now full-time to basically build out the entire prototype. And then really going into Thanksgiving of last year, finally had some money in the bank to pay our salaries. And we're projecting now ultimately to be profitable within, I think, 3 or 4 months now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really excited to see what that holds.
What does burn look like today? How far in the red are you?
Yeah, we're about 45, maybe 50, depending on marketing spend a month.
Yep.
But the coolest part that we've seen, and I think one of the biggest things that I talk to with other folks that are selling B2B, our pipeline as far as customers that are already quote unquote signed up, but are just yet to roll out is closer to 10,000 cards. So we have over 10,000 users that have already signed up for Zestful right now, but ultimately they're rolling out at the beginning of Q2, Q3, scattered about depending on their budgets throughout the year. So already we can at least project forward these contracts or deals that are easily going to get us to that profitability mark.
Yep. And then, so how much did you actually raise early on?
$1 million.
Okay. And was that a convertible note or equity?
Note, or actually SAFE is actually
SAFE.
the proper way to say it.
Yeah. That's good. Okay. On a SAFE. And then no revenue 2018, right? You really just started turning that on this year.
No revenue. We've made actually more revenue last year than we had so far, if only because all of my freelance income came in as like Zestful Inc., which was great.
Yeah.
But excluding that, no product revenue.
And too early yet really to tell, numbers around like churn and expansion, things like that, right?
Yep. Yes, but the cool part is that what we've learned in this space is that if you can get really over 20 to 25% engagement rate, which for some perk programs or reward programs is actually phenomenal. And what we're seeing so far is over 90% of people that are using Zestful today are using it every single month. So granted, it's only been a few months, but those companies and employees that have been using it are already using it every month, in many cases, almost every day, because they're using it on things like their Spotify, Netflix, coffee shops, you name it. So what we're looking at is hopefully far lower average of churn compared to other perk and reward programs, if only because we finally think that we've built something that employees will really enjoy using.
So if I'm inside of a company that pays you Zestful, they're going to give me one. They're going to say, Nathan, as a perk, we want to pay for your Spotify account. Here's one credit card to put that on. Okay, next month, now we want to pay for all your lunches. They're going to give me a different credit card for all my lunches. Can't I end up with like 20 credit cards?
Nope, it's all in one card. So when you log into the app or go onto your site, it's still that one card. You can stack as many of these different allowances or rules as you'd like. So on one card, you can say, hey, Nathan, we're going to give you $20 a month to spend on your Spotify, Netflix, those type of things. We're also going to give you $50 a month that you can now spend on meals every week, whatever you want to do. And those can be put onto the same card and controlled separately.
How do you know when I scan my card for like Spotify or like meals, how do you auto categorize and pass that data from the credit card, I guess, machine reader or whatever into your backend system?
That's really the secret sauce of what we've built. So from the ground up, what we're doing is building a unique catalog of products where every time somebody swipes their card, we're uniquely qualifying or classifying that product with its own unique ID in our system, so that as soon as somebody uses Spotify, we then capture that merchant data, we tokenize it, use it in our own process, so that the next time that somebody uses it, we can guarantee without a doubt that it is Spotify. And that way we can put it into these different categories like entertainment.
Yeah. So like there's a lot of these companies popping in right now, like Brex is obviously, we just had those guys on the show, right? So like, how do you compare yourself to Brex?
Yeah, I think what the biggest difference is, we look at all these other companies like a Brex, they're focused more on a top down, meaning that they're giving it to their executives, they're giving it to more of like business expenses, you're going on corporate travel. What we're trying to do is go bottoms up, where employees are going to be using this on the things that they don't necessarily use for work, mostly using it on things like their Spotify, Netflix, things outside of the office to improve their quality of life. And I think so far that's been the biggest differentiator, because at the end of the day, what I truly believe is if your employees aren't happy, even if you have all the bells and whistles and you build all the features for the admins and the CEO and the founders, at the end of the day, at the end of maybe those 12 months when you've been using it, if you don't have that high engagement rate because it wasn't built for those employees, what's going to end up happening is they're going to cancel and churn away, just because at the end of the day, employees make that decision, and that's who we're building this product for.
Very good. Makes sense. Let's wrap up here with the famous five. Number one, what's your favorite business book?
Oh, I'm going to say The Hard Thing About Hard Things.
Number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Vlad Magdalene. He's the CEO of a company called Webflow, which was a company that I started out as in my startup career, and definitely look up to him in the way that he's done things.
Yeah, they're great. They came on the show a couple of weeks ago, doing great. Thinking about buying out their early investors, actually using venture debt. We'll see if he does it.
There you go.
Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building your company?
Ooh, Notion. We use Notion and rely on Notion almost exclusively for everything from bug tracking to notes to content to, almost everything we go through Notion. That or Slack, maybe a close tie.
And number four, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
So as of 2 weeks ago, I was really, really good at getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep, but I had a baby 10 days ago.
Oh, wow.
So now it's probably closer to an hour, maybe 2 hours if I'm lucky. Hoping that changes here pretty soon.
Well, you can't obviously survive on an hour of sleep. You're kind of up and then asleep and then up and then asleep in like hour chunks, right?
Basically, but over the last couple of nights, I've been tracking my sleep. I've gotten literally maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night for the past 5 nights in a row.
That is insane. I don't know that I would ever want to have babies because I don't like giving up my sleep. And what's exactly. So what? Obviously, it sounds like married and one kiddo.
Married, one kiddo. Yep.
Okay, and how old are you?
30.
Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
That's a really good one. I think to not necessarily worry too much about how things are going to play out. I think especially in your 20s, everybody always says it, give yourself time in your 20s to take some of those risks and not necessarily push things off, but certainly give yourself a little bit more freedom and flexibility to try those new things and explore new things. Because I do think, especially me going into this part of my life right now, I think that it becomes less and less likely that you're going to have the opportunity to do those things.
Yeah. Guys, there you have it. Zestful. He just had his first baby. He's burning $45,000 a month right now in revenue, raised $1 million, team of 6, making it easy for brands and companies to give and incentivize their employees with things like, Spotify, covering their Spotify spend or their gym and memberships or things like that with these individual credit cards. They have over a 90% activation and usage rate every month, serving about 52 customers right now at $100 a pop. So doing about $5,200 a month right now in revenue, hoping to get back to break even in the next 3 or 4 months. Matt, thanks for taking us to the top.
Thank you so much.